Alrighty, this is Twilight Flare, and I am giving my impressions on The Arbitrator by Bluegrass Brooke. Personally, as usual for these, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Kept me pretty interested throughout the entire thing. Very, very, interesting writing. Like, every word and, action felt on point. It gave us a very unique look at Discord, showing a an almost feral beast-like version of him. Really, you do not see much of that. At least not in my experience. It doesn't feel like it was just really interesting. Yeah, I could almost see the fan art, painting itself of the beastly, raging Discord at with just raging with frustration and stuff like that. Very, I don't know. It was just very easy to. It just conjured very poignant and sharp images in your imagination as to kind of what that looked like. I felt like the dialogue was really nice. Everything really, felt pretty cool. Twilight felt a little odd, but I mean, I guess that's understandable. She was kind of in an awkward position. But yeah, I was a little surprised there wasn't a little bit more of Twilight in there, and the little bit that we did get just kind of felt a little not off, but just kind of strange. I don't know, and again, that makes sense. I mean, she was in a very awkward, frustrating, stressful situation, but I don't know. Um, Honestly, there's not a whole lot to say. It's a very short story. Um, if I were to venture a complaint, I feel like the it didn't ever have any real payoff. It felt like a solid beginning to a story, if anything, and that's a really interesting point because afterwards I got on her here on the film fiction. Well, I was still on there, but I went and did a real quick flip through of the more recent stories that Bluegrass Brooke has done, and it looks like one of her most recent is a story called "By Way of Sorrow." And it looks like it might be a sequel. It doesn't say it is, but from the description and stuff like that, it seems like it might be the beginnings of a sequel because, I mean, it looks like she's got two chapters that looks like it was a collaboration between her and a friend called Lord Despair. um, but they're about two chapters in. I haven't looked at it at all, so I have no idea if it is a sequel, but it looks like it very well might be. And if that is the case, that might rectify my very minor complaint. I mean, I guess it's not a minor complaint because you want your story to have a bit of an oomph at the very end or something, but it just didn't feel like it quite hit that payoff. There was no very little emotion. There was I don't know. It was all spoken as a matter of simplicity. That's a strange way of putting it. It honestly didn't feel like the conversation between Sombra and Fluttershy lasted long enough. It was I don't know. It was over and done with way too quickly, in my opinion. We didn't. I didn't feel like there was ever any changing of emotions or minds or stuff like that. It was just it kind of kept a very steady tone throughout the entire story, and then just kind of ended with a hopeful note. Yes, but it, it doesn't. By the time it gets to the end, I don't feel like they've gone through the steps that they needed to hit. Now that's not to say that there's anything. I mean, it's not a bad story by any measure. In fact, I really really enjoyed it. I had a blast, and I wanted more. So I guess that's probably what it comes down to. I wanted more, and I feel like it would have been fairly easy to have given more. Again, I'm hopeful that that this is getting a sequel or maybe a revamp or something like that in this other story by way of sorrow, because I mean, I'm definitely confident in her writing capabilities after this because I'm certain that she's got some real talent here. I'm gonna definitely have to flip through the rest of her stories and kind of get an idea of what else she's been writing. I definitely might read this other story once it gets a little bit further along. It doesn't seem to imply how long it's intended to be. Like, it doesn't have any like tags that say that it's an epic or anything like that. So, and it's only two chapters in at about 7,500 words. So it's not a whole lot longer than, you know, one of the smaller stories at this point. It looks like it's possibly just now taking off. It looks like the first chapter was posted in on December 16th of 2016, and the most recent one was in January of 2017, obviously. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to be toying with the idea of possibly reading that one later as well, whenever it's a little bit further along. Um, if I were to try and think of any other like questions I might have had, I was a little confused about like why Discord had such anger towards Sombra. I mean, I get that Sombra's another villain in the in the franchise, but I don't fully understand like what sort of a history these two could have even had with each other. It seems like there was definitely something there, and I don't know. I just kind of curious what justified the sheer level of hate that Discord had for Sombra, to push him to the levels of aggression that he had. I don't know. It just kind of felt kind of strange. Even within the story, it doesn't sound like Sombra did anything. I mean, like, I mean, Discord ripped off his horn for like no reason. Exactly, no reason. It implied that Sombra had hurt his tail in some way earlier on, but I, I fail to see how he managed to do that. He must have done that after his horn was ripped off or whatever, because it sounds like he was getting ready to try and talk to Discord, and then all of a sudden Discord just kind of zips up and yanks his horn off. So poor Sombra. I mean, guy can't get a break, can he? I don't think he's been even remotely successful in any of the times we've seen him. He just strikes me as a villain who has just the worst luck lately. I mean, naturally, he's always been my favorite villain of the show, but that's because I see a lot of potential with him. Just little things he did in the story and ways he was presented that really like spoke volumes about his capabilities, and it always felt to me, I mean, I know he's kind of a joke in the fandom, which is why he's not really all that popular among the fans typically, but to me, he always struck me as like this ridiculously powerful, amazingly like competent. Honestly, I think he's the most competent villain in the entire show. But every appearance that he's been given has seemed like it's just like, oh, you just caught him on the worst day. I mean, because like you look back at like what he did in the past and all the crazy traps and all this amazing setup, and he did this like 1,000 years in the past, like not even tailored to the main characters, and he's still winning. And they're not even technically fighting against him; they're fighting against his preparations against the general intruder in his abode. You know, so like every appearance that I've seen of him, it just felt like, he could be amazing, but for some reason he just crossed like 50 black cats, ran under a couple ladders, and like he's just having a rough time. I almost wonder if there's like a TV trope of some kind, like called the star-crossed villain. You know, just the villain that in any other situation or circumstance would be just an absolute powerhouse, but just for whatever reason can't get a break. I guess that's kind of what happens to you whenever like you've been banished and you're about a millennia behind, and you're just not meant for this era. In moments like that, I guess it pays to be a timeless Draconiquist chaos spirit. All right. Well, I feel like that just about covers everything that I wanted to hit. So, everybody have a great day. Again, make sure you go and let Bluegrass Brooke know how you felt about the story, and maybe give her a little like and encourage her to keep on writing more. Maybe that'll help keep her motivated on a nice sequel or something like that for us. Alrighty. Have a nice day, everybody. Peace. Well, you're immortalized on the internet now, Chip. I hope you're happy. You silly dog.